All right. Okay. All right, so today we're just going to do order of operations with fractions. Okay. All right, so yeah, so just same thing like we did with integers yesterday. It's going to be the same thing with fractions. A complex fraction is considered where the numerator or the denominator contains one or more fractions. So basically a fraction within a fraction. So to simplify complex fractions, simplify the numerator to a single fraction and the denominator to a single fraction, and then rewrite it as a division problem. And then, when you divide fractions, you flip the second one and multiply. So, all right, so number one, so we can just change that to 15/32 divided by -5/64. Then you would flip the second fraction and multiply. So that would be 15/32 times -64/5. Okay, so I know it's a positive times a negative, so I know that my answer is going to be negative. Now let's see what we could reduce. So I know that 32 goes into 64 2 times, and I know that 5 goes into 15 3 times. And I guess I could go ahead and put a 1 there and a 1 there. And then 3 times 2 is 6. And it would just be over 1, which you don't really need, so -6 is the final answer. All right, so number 2, first we need to simplify the numerator. All right, so what would be the LCD for the numerator here? For 12 and 4, what would be the LCD? 12. All right, so 1/12 can just stay the same, minus, and then what do you multiply with 4 to get 12? 3. And then 1 times 3 is 3, so that's 3/12. All right, so 1/12 minus 3/12. So 1 minus 3 equals what? -2. So that makes it -2/12. And then we could reduce that because 2 goes into 2 1 time and 2 goes into 12 6 times. So we can reduce that to -1/6. And just bring this 1/5 over. So -1/6 over 1/5. So we can rewrite that as -1/6 divided by 1/5. And then when you divide by a fraction, you have to flip the second one and multiply. So we're going to have -1/6 times 5/1. All right, and there's nothing to reduce, so just multiply straight across. So -1 times 5 is -5, and then 6 times 1 is 6. So -5/6 is the final answer. All right. Number 3. Okay, so order of operations, we're going to do the multiplying and dividing. Okay, so first we're going to do this multiplication right here. So when you multiply fractions, you just multiply straight across. So this is going to be -8 over 9 plus, and then we could go ahead and you can go ahead and work on this division problem, which means that we're going to flip the second fraction and multiply. So that's going to be 7 over 6 times 8 over 5. So bring this down. -8 over 9. Bring that down. And then multiply. So I can reduce a little bit here because 2 goes into 6 3 times and 2 goes into 8 4 times. And then 7 times 4 would be 28, and 3 times 5 would be 15. So now I have -8/9 plus 28 over 15. All right, so let's figure out, so these denominators, 9 and 15, they do have a common factor of 3. So I'm going to use the LCD method as opposed to the bow tie method. All right, so let me see here. I've got 9 is going to be 3 and 3, and then 15, that's going to be 3 and 5. So for my LCD, I would need 2 factors of 3 and a factor of 5. So 3 times 3 times 5. And that's going to be equal to 45. That's my LCD. So what do I have to multiply with 9 to equal 45? -8 times 5 is -40. And then what do I need to multiply with 15 to equal 45? 3. And then 28 times 3 is going to be 84. Okay. So then -40 plus 84. So that's the same thing as saying 84 minus 40. So that's going to be 44. So my final answer is 44 over 45. Any questions about that? Okay, number 4. So we need to work on the numerator first, and within that, we're going to do multiplying. So 6 times -2 is -12. And then -6 times -4 would be +24. And then -12 plus 24 equals +12. And then on the denominator, 9 minus 5 equals 4. Now we just have 12 over 4, which is the same thing as saying 12 divided by 4, so that equals 3. Okay, number 5. Let's see, the numerator, we just need to do 11 plus 9, which is equal to 20. And then on the denominator, we need to do the exponents. So 3 squared is 9, and 2 squared is 4. So we have 9 minus 4. So 20 over 9 minus 4. So that's 20 over 9 minus 4 is 5. So 20 over 5, or in other words, 20 divided by 5 equals 4. Mhm. All right, number 6. Let's see. So we need to work on that fraction first. So I'm going to bring down 25 divided by, and then 5 squared is 25 over 9 minus 4 equals 5. And then next I see minus a negative 1, and I automatically know that's just going to be the same thing as plus 1. So then I still need to finish that fraction. 25 over 5, 25 divided by 5 equals 5. And I'll bring everything else down. So I've got 25 divided by 5 plus 1. So next I need to do my dividing. So 25 divided by 5 is equal to 5. So then I just have 5 plus 1. So my final answer is 6. Any questions about anything? Okay. So y'all are going to go to the bookstore and buy your thing right now, and then try to type it in and make sure before you leave campus, make sure that you're good. Okay. All right. Any questions about anything? Feel free to email me or text me if y'all need anything. I think this is from day 2, which you also missed, if you want to go ahead and take this one. All right, now here, somebody take this. This is really nice.
What day is this from?
This is from yesterday.
Oh,
Yeah. All right. Have a good weekend. Kathy, you got any questions, girl?
On the My Labs thing, is that just something I sign in at home or?
So, okay, here's what you need to do. You need to go, you have to use Firefox browser, okay? And you have to go to this website. It has to, you can't just search for MyLabs Plus on Google. You have to actually type in wc.mylabsplus.com, okay? And then whenever you sign in, you have to use the same username that you use for Canvas. So you know how to go in Canvas?
Yeah, I just figured that out like yesterday.
Yeah, and I think I put an announcement in Canvas with instructions on how to do that.
Okay, awesome.
Yes, so you need to do that. And Yeah, so it's the same username that you use for Canvas, and then your password is your date of birth, like 8-digit date of birth.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, I got that.
All right. Okay, so that's what you need to do. And you can also go on, do you know where the Academic Support Center is?
Is that on like the Weatherford
It's,
main
it's,
website?
well, it's here. Like the Academic Support Center is a place on campus that you can go to. It's like down, it's like right down at the bottom of the hill. And there's like picnic tables and there's the Academic Support Center. And that's where they have math tutoring, and they can also help you, you know, like get logged in. So
Yeah, I was gonna ask about this again anyway. So.
yeah, and so that's where you go for your tutorial hours and stuff too.
Okay.
And you might be able, you could probably go ahead and do this on your phone too. If you have, you know, smartphone, you should be able to do this on your phone. So, and so that is, have you bought anything from the bookstore?
I did a psychology summer class, so I think I kind of understand how that works.
Yeah, so I mean, if you know, like, are you on financial aid? Okay, well, if you're not on financial aid, then screw the bookstore. Just use your credit card.
Okay.
Yeah, just, so that's the cheapest thing to do. When you go on there, it's going to ask you for 3 options. Either you have an access code, which you buy from the bookstore, which they add like a $50 markup to. So you don't really want to do that. Only people that are using their financial aid do that. And then there's also an option for buy now. So that's going to be cheaper. That's about $110. And you can just put in your credit or debit card number. And then if you don't, you know, if you don't want to pay for it yet, you can just click on pay later. And then that'll give you 2 weeks, and you can pay for it in 2 weeks. So you can do that too.
And does that link to like the whole the classes?
So that's got all. So My Labs Plus is where all your homework is at.
Oh shit! Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. So you need to do that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So you don't have to buy a book, but you do have to buy that.
Okay.
Yeah.
I have a friend that lives with me. He's doing this too, so he'll probably be able to help walk me through it.
Okay. All right. And like I said, feel free to email me if you have any questions or anything.
Yeah, for sure.
And you will have like at least a couple of homeworks that are going to be due Monday.
That's cool.
So.
Yeah, I'll do them. Yeah, after.
Yeah. So that's why I say you want to make sure you get that figured out pretty quick.
I appreciate that.
Mm-hmm. No problem. Kathy, we're all done, girl. You have any questions? I can't hear you, you're muted.
I don't think so. That was a quick class.
Yeah. Yeah, like I said, I think it's going to be Tuesdays and Thursdays are probably going to be the short days.